In 9.4a, we're going to learn the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is the fourth method for solving quadratics, and it's the one that works on every single quadratic equation, whether it's rational or irrational. Okay. In order to use the quadratic formula, the equation has to be in standard form, meaning highest degree to lowest degree, it has to equal to 0. Then it follows this formula, and I can show you how to get this formula by completing the square, but I will not do it in this video. Okay, just like when we did the parabolas, this formula uses a, b, and c. Remember, a is the coefficient of x squared, b is the coefficient of x, and c is the constant, and if it's in standard form, they'll be in order. So for example, a is 5, because that's the coefficient of x squared, b is positive 9, because it's positive 9x, and then c is 2, because that's the constant at the end, because this equation is already in standard form and it equals to 0. Now I'm going to go ahead and use that equation and just plug it in and see what I get. It says x equals, x is just whichever variables in this equation. This equation also has x, so I'll start with x equals. Okay, x equals, okay, I'm going to go ahead and make a big fraction line because the formula has a big fraction. Okay, the first term is negative b. Well, b is 9, so if it's negative b, then it's negative 9. Next, it has the plus and minus sign, which is how we're going to get two answers. So I'm going to go ahead and put the plus minus. It has a big square root, so I'm going to go ahead and make a big square root sign. Inside the radical, it has b squared. What is b? B is 9, so it's going to be 9 squared. And then from there, it goes minus 4 times a times c. So minus 4 times a is 5, times c, c is 2. Okay, then in the denominator, 2 times a. So the denominator is 2 times a is 5, so I'm going to go ahead and plug in 5. Now it looks really bad, but from here all we have to do is simplify this expression and then see what our answers are. So I'm going to bring over this big fraction. Okay, now I'm okay with the negative 9 in the front, it doesn't really bother me. I'm going to bring over the plus minus, but I am going to simplify the radical because there's a lot of things going on in here. So I have 9 squared. 9 squared is 9 times 9, which is 81. And then it says minus, and then it's 4 times 5 times 2. And I'm going to multiply all three of those numbers together. So if I do 4 times 5, I get 20. And then 20 times 2 is going to give me a 40 here. And the denominator, I have 2 times 5, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply 2 times 5, and I get 10. Okay, now I'm going to keep simplifying this. The radicand can simplify a little bit more. So I'm going to bring over the negative 9 plus minus, bring over the big square root sign. Inside the radical, I have 81 minus 40. 81 minus 40 is 41. And let me put the 10 at the bottom. Now I'm going to look at this answer. The square root of 41 is irrational. Does it simplify? No, I can only think of 41 times 1. So this is actually my answer, even though it looks terrible, and we'll look at it and see why it's two answers. Okay, so one of my answers is negative 9 plus the square root of 41 and then divided by 10. The other one is negative 9 minus the square root of 41 divided by 10, which would be some decimal, but we're going to leave it like this because this is what we call exact form for an irrational number. Okay, let's go ahead and try the next one. It'll be similar, and all of the answers today will be irrational. Okay, first thing, make sure it's in standard form. It goes from highest degree to lowest. It does equal to 0. So I'm going to go ahead and identify a, b, and c. Oh, there's x squared, but there's no number in front of it. Remember, if there's no number in front of it, the coefficient is 1, so a is 1. Since it's plus 3x, b is 3. Since it's minus 7, c is negative 7. Since I'm trying to find x, I'm going to say x equals big fraction. Okay, keep looking back up at your formula, but it's going to be negative b, b is 3, so negative 3, plus and minus, okay, big square root sign. Okay, and then inside the square root sign, I have b squared minus 4ac. So what is b? b is 3, so 3 squared minus 4 times a times c, and then in the denominator everything is divided by 2a. 2 times a is 1. Okay, this is the worst part right here, that very first step. Once you have it substituted, we just have to simplify the expression. Okay, let's bring this over. So I have -3 plus or minus. The main thing is the radical needs to be simplified. Okay, 3 to the second power is 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Let's see, minus 4 times 1 is 4, and then times -7. Oh, -4 times -7 is actually going to switch this to a positive. So 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 7 is 28, so it's positive 28. And then in the denominator, I have 2 times 1, which is 2. Okay, let me go ahead and add up the radicand. Okay, in the radical, I have 9 plus 28. 9 plus 28 is 37. And I'm going to keep the denominator 2, and then I'm going to look at the radical, see if I can simplify it. Square root of 37 is irrational. I don't know the square root of 37. It's not a perfect square. Can I simplify it? No, 37 times 1 is all I can do. So this is my two answers. One of them is -3 plus the square root of 37 divided by 2, and the other one is -3 minus the square root of 37 divided by 2. Okay, remember today everything will be irrational. Tomorrow we'll add some rational answers. Okay, let's try one more, and I'm just trying to move the negative sign to different places on the ABC. Okay, first check that it's in standard form. Highest degree to lowest does equal to 0. So let me go ahead and identify A, B, and C. A is 3. It's minus 7x, so B is -7. And then C is positive 1. So I'm going to go ahead and plug into my equation. Since I'm solving for x, this is going to be x equals. Let me make the big fraction sign. So it starts with -b. Well, b is -7. So if I do -7, it's actually going to switch it to +7. Plus or minus the square root. Inside the radical, we have b squared. B squared. And make sure you put the -7 in parentheses when you square it, because you're saying you're doing -7 times -7. With the positives, we can be a little careless with the parentheses, but with a negative, you have to make sure you put it in parentheses so you're squaring the negative and the 7. Okay, where was I? B squared minus 4ac. So minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. Okay, first step is done. Let's go ahead and simplify it. So that's 7 plus or minus. If you do -7 squared, -7 times -7 will be positive 49. So when you square a negative, you still get a positive. Let's see, minus 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 1 is still 12. So minus 12. And then in the denominator, 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, let me just simplify my radicand. 49 minus 12 is 37 over 6. Okay, now can I simplify the square root of 37? No, I can't. So I'm going to leave it like that, and I'm going to have an irrational answer. Okay, go ahead and try the practice problems. Check your answers at the bottom when you're done.